Yeah, I don't think we played our cleanest tonight, but just scrapping around and finding ways to keep the ball alive. I think even the last few points of the game, you saw that especially. We had to earn those, and so finding a way to win, even if it's not the prettiest.
And Amanda, kind of echo that statement. How do you adjust throughout the game, knowing that certain hitters may not be performing at their typical self?
Yeah, I think just trusting our teammates. We've talked a lot about trust in the past, especially when it gets tight and close. And I think just making sure that we trust each other and trust ourselves and have confidence, especially in those tight balls.
And to come back today and forget about Tuesday and come out strong like you did in the first set and take care of business, and yet you still had to battle through the adversity. Just talk about battling through the adversity and understanding, hey, it's still a win at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think Tuesday motivated us. I think we showed a lot of grit today by using that loss as kind of confidence booster and really just trying to battle through it.
Cameron?
Yeah, I think coming in today, we had a really good mindset going into the game, and we just kind of felt ready. The vibes were good all around, and I think even though we didn't play our cleanest again, just finding a way to win shows a lot.
And the other side of that is the balance in the difficult part of the schedule that you're in right now. The fact you played Thursday, played Saturday, played Tuesday, played Thursday. I mean, the fourth match in 8 days, you're going to play again on Saturday. Five matches in 10 days. Is that more of a mental block or a physical block?
I think it could be a little bit of both, but again, just having the opportunity to compete and enjoying every moment of it and finding ways to win during the stretch is huge for us. So.
All right. Thanks, ladies.
Thank you.
Obviously really happy to go 1-0 today. You know, we had some moments that were really good, and I thought we were playing at our potential at a much higher level, and then we just had times, spurts, where we just lost ourselves. We struggled with communication today for a little bit there. I mean, we got better really into the fourth set, but I think 2 and 3 kind of just frustrated us a little bit, and then with that, just didn't play defense at as high of a level as I felt like we should have. You know, I think it's one of those moments where we know this is a tough stretch. You know, we've talked about obviously the fact that this is our 4th match in 8 days, and just had a really tough one on Tuesday night, 5 sets, going the distance in a lot of those sets. And with that, I think there's definitely some physical, you know, maybe limitations at times. You know, I think we had to really focus on the adrenaline, use that to our advantage, because I know not everybody's at their peak, but at the same time, a win's a win in this stretch. You know, we've got to continue to build on that. We want to be able to win clean, obviously, but in the end, we got to make sure that we understand and celebrate each win as we get it and as we earn it. And I think both teams did a really good job there at especially at the end of set 4, of just continuing to keep plays alive. We saw a lot of longer rallies in some of those, and that's tough. It's tough to actually come back on that next play when you're as out of breath as I think both teams were at point. So, you know, Amanda had a really good night, 14 kills. She was our second leading attacker and hit over 500. And I think they got better on her as the match progressed, but I think she was able to score quite a bit, which actually opened up our pins as well. So, I think overall, you know, again, a win is definitely something that we're going to celebrate, but there's still stuff from this that we can take and learn from, and things that we got to get better at going into Saturday.
In this difficult stretch, is it easier to continue to remind them that tomorrow's a new day and that tomorrow's another opportunity to get better and tomorrow's another day to possibly go 1-0?
Yeah, I mean, I think being in the present is really important in this stretch. And, you know, it's really easy to kind of think back to the past and, again, how tired we are, how much we've, you know, how much volleyball we've played here in the last 8 days, and physically how we don't feel good. But I think it's so much about just being where your feet are, right? Like, you know, today was our only focus was obviously going 1-0. Tomorrow is going to be, I mean, getting on a bus first and then doing a quick pregame practice on the road. And we've got to get better. We've got to understand the scouting report. We've got to make sure that we are prepared for that next match, but we're not necessarily looking ahead. We're not trying to just get through the practice on Friday. We're trying to get better. And that's something that I think this team has done a very good job of. And I think we've got some good leaders that are kind of helping pave the way in that capacity. But I think it's really important to just continue to focus on winning the day, going 1-0, whether it's a practice or a game.
Because we talk about the tough stretch, but it's a tough stretch in the whole conference because obviously with that missing the extra weekend and having to play at least 2 Tuesday night matches, the whole conference has to face that kind of scheduling.
For sure. I mean, there's some teams that have some buys kind of throughout this stretch, but for the most part, a lot of teams are going through this. So we're not unique in the fact that we have this many games in 10 days. But at the same time, again, we've gone the distance with some of them, right? So it definitely physically, I know we're not necessarily at our absolute best right now, but we've got to find ways to win anyway.
And you look at that fourth set, and despite Lauren's maybe not ineffectiveness, they were able to overcome that because of the balance across the board away from Lauren.
Well, 100%. And Lauren obviously was very, very good for us on Tuesday. And I think it just kind of, again, goes back to show just the balance that we do have and the fact that we don't have to rely on the same people every single night. And I think Lauren could have had more success tonight. And I think watching back, she's going to feel the same way. And I think she probably does right now too. But I think they did a good job of getting hands up in front of her. I think she had a double block more often in front of her than what some of our other attackers did. And they made it hard for her to score in some of those moments. But the thing is she can impact the game in other ways. You know, she was our second leading defender. I think she did a pretty good job blocking wise of taking away the space she was supposed to. She doesn't really have any blocks tonight, but I think she did what she was supposed to defensively so that our backcourt could play behind her. So, I think we got Cheyenne going a little bit more, had 9 kills tonight, which was good to see. Obviously, again, we talked about Amanda stepping up, and I would throw out Morgan too. I mean, she had 0 kills through the first 2 sets, and we just kind of talked and made a plan of what that looked like moving forward, and then had 7 kills on 16 attempts. So, almost 500 there, and that's obviously a really good number for her to be at. So if we can continue to get that through her more consistently, we're going to have, again, another attacker that can step up when we need her to.
And it's not so much the kill column, it's also the attempt column as well, right, to try to get that balance?
I mean, the kill, yeah, I mean, obviously in a perfect world, we'd love to be very balanced, and we've had matches where we are. Kylan obviously took a lot of swings tonight, but she was on. I mean, and her hitting percentage kind of came down at the end of the third set. She was playing at a really high level there for a little bit, and then she just had 4 errors to close that set out. But she had a lot of attempts, and everybody else was kind of at that, 20 in the 20s, mid to high 20s. So I think that's a pretty good number game to see on the stat sheet, but something that we'll continue to work on here as the season progresses.
And finally, you talk about serve and receive, and obviously both teams kind of were up and down a little bit service-wise with both teams in double figures and errors.
Yeah, I think our error number was okay. If we're looking at 4 sets, I'm okay with that number during it. I would like to see our ace number probably a little bit higher in that stretch, but I think the thing, it wasn't the misses that we were frustrated with. It was the misses into the net. We just didn't do our process extremely well tonight. We had some missed hits, and we were missing because of that, not because we were aggressive and maybe things were floating deep a little bit. So that's something that, again, we'll get better at. We'll correct. That's not something that we see a lot. So we'll address it and obviously get better through into Saturday. But that is an area that we obviously have to improve on.
And finally, if you're searching for maybe a singular word to describe the stretch, is consistency, and trying to get more consistent in terms of offensively, defensively, just the 3 levels of the play. Would that be a good word to use?
Yeah, when this team is good, they're really good. We are able to, I think we can play with and beat anybody in our league on any given night. And I think we could do it. I don't want to say handedly, but I think we could play at a very high level. We can play at a very high level. The consistency is what's hurting us, is we do a lot of really good things. We create leads, and then we give away those leads with 3 or 4 point runs. And there were a couple stretches where they didn't even have to score points. We were just giving them points with our errors. So, that's an area that we're aware of. They're aware of it. It's nothing new. And there's been times that we've been really good in that category. And honestly, even tonight, attacking errors, we were in a better spot. We had 4, 5, 5 and then the set 4 we were a little bit high error with 8, but I'll take 4, 5, 5, in those first 3 sets. Our errors just came in bad times. We had 4 to close out that third set. So I think the consistency piece is huge for us, but I think there are certain areas of our game that we have been pretty consistent in, and we need to continue to build on those and then keep correcting a little bit as we go throughout the season.
We're just getting into the second half of this conference schedule. Is there things that you look back on the first matchup, or just try to go in with a fresh new outlook when you play this opponent for a second time?
Yeah, playing an opponent for the second time is interesting, actually, just because you can watch that first match and you can learn what worked and what didn't work and maybe what teams were able to do against you offensively or defensively, but both teams are doing that, so we're both watching those matches back. We're both trying to see if we can, exploit some of the same things, but also, find some new things that we can do, but they're also creating different scouting reports as well. So, any match that we play from here on out, obviously we have a previous match that we can watch and see what did and didn't go well. But at the same time, there's going to be a lot of differences too. So we got to learn from obviously what's happened in the past, but we also have to expect a different type of match. If we swept somebody such as Denver on the road 3-0, we can't expect that that's just going to happen because it happened the first time around. And we've got to be willing and able to make some changes, which we did in a lot of ways, but obviously struggled in just some stretches tonight.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thank you.